Hey everyone, today we're going to dive into a book that, and I'm not exaggerating, completely changed how I approach my life and my work. It's called Essentialism by McKeown, and it tackles this feeling I think we all know too well, that feeling of being constantly busy, just stretched in a million directions, but at the end of the day, you feel like you haven't really made progress on anything that truly matters. Well, this book was the answer. I mean, look at this question right here. Do you ever feel overworked but underutilized? For me, this wasn't just a question, it was my life. My days were absolutely crammed, my to-do list was a monster, but when Friday rolled around, I couldn't really point to one big thing I was genuinely proud of. I was just busy being busy. I knew deep down there had to be a better way to work, a way to actually point all my energy in the right direction. And that's what set me on the path to finding this whole philosophy. And this is that path. The book defines essentialism as the disciplined, systematic approach to determining where our highest point of contribution lies, then making execution of those things almost effortless. Now, what hit me right away is that this has nothing to do with speed reading emails or learning some new productivity hack to cram more stuff into your day. It's a totally different way of thinking. It's actually about doing less, but doing it better. It's this focused, disciplined search for only the right things. And for me, that idea was absolutely transformative. So how do we actually start doing this? Well, this is basically the roadmap we're going to follow today. It's the same journey I went on with this book. First, we have to start with the essentialist mindset. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of how to discern the vital few. After that, the fun part, eliminating the non-essential, and then learning to create space and boundaries. From there, we'll see how to design for effortless execution. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together in living a purposeful life. Okay, let's jump right in with part one, the essentialist mindset. And I really can't stress this enough. This is the foundation for everything else. Before you can change what you do, you have to fundamentally change how you think. The whole journey really begins here with this massive shift in your perspective. This quote right here quickly became my personal mantra. The way of the essentialist is the relentless pursuit of less but better. And notice that word relentless. This isn't about a one-time cleanup of your calendar. It's a constant, ongoing process of asking yourself over and over, is this really essential? And is this the absolute highest and best use of my time right now? And that mindset shift is everything. Think about the non-essentialist. They're just tangled up in 1,000 different obligations, feeling completely overwhelmed. Their energy is scattered, going in every direction at once, making tiny bits of progress on 100 things, but no real progress on anything important. But the essentialist, they have clarity. Their energy is focused, like a laser, on just a few vital goals. It's a move from a life of scattered, often meaningless activity to one of focused, purposeful action. Getting my head around this idea, moving from being pulled apart to pointing forward, was the first and honestly the most important step for me. So once I started to get that mindset, the next obvious question was, okay, great, but how do I actually figure out what the important things are? And that takes us right into our next section, learning the very practical skill of discerning the vital few from, well, the trivial many. It's all about separating the signal from all the noise out there. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Essentialism is not about how to get more things done. It's about how to get the right things done. This completely changed my whole definition of a productive day. I stopped trying to just cross off as many tasks as possible from my to-do list. Instead, I started measuring my success by the real progress I made on the one or two things that would actually create the biggest impact. Now, this brings us to one of the most practical, most powerful decision-making tools I have ever come across. And it's all built around this one number, 90%. It's a simple but brilliant filter called the 90% rule. And it's designed to save you from the trap of good enough. Okay, so here's how it works. It's super simple. When you're looking at a new opportunity or a decision, first, you have to identify the single most important criterion. What's the one thing that matters above all else? Then, you score that option from 0 to 100 based on that one criterion. And here's the killer move. If you score it anything less than a 90, you don't just say, oh, it's a 75. No. You automatically change that score to a 0 and you walk away. This was a game changer for me. It forced me to stop saying yes to things that were just kind of good and only commit to the things that I was truly, genuinely fired up about. Now, besides the 90% rule, the book gives you a few other tools for your discernment toolkit. It says to explore a lot of options before you decide on one, use really extreme criteria to filter them out, and constantly be asking yourself this crucial question: what is most important right now? But honestly, my personal favorite, just for its beautiful simplicity, is the last one. Apply the hell yeah or no test. The idea is that when a new opportunity comes your way, your response shouldn't be, yeah, maybe, that sounds okay. If your immediate gut reaction isn't a loud, clear hell yeah, then it should be a simple and respectful no. It's the ultimate clutter prevention tool for your life. And that flows perfectly into our next big topic. See, once you get good at spotting the few things that are a hell yeah, you have to get really good at eliminating everything else. This is where you learn the true power of the graceful no and start clearing the paths so you can actually move forward on what matters. This quote from Lao Tzu just perfectly captures the whole vibe of this section. To attain knowledge, add things every day. To attain wisdom, subtract things every day. Man, that hit me hard. I had spent my entire life focused on adding more skills, more projects, more responsibilities. It was a huge realization for me that real progress, real wisdom, often comes from subtraction, not addition. So how do we actually subtract? We need some real strategies. You can do a life audit where you look at every single commitment you have and ask, if I wasn't already invested in this, would I start it today? You can try zero-based budgeting with your time. Instead of tweaking your current schedule, you start from scratch and have to justify every single thing you put back on your plate. And we have to fight our own psychology, right? We have to get over the sunk cost bias. That's that little voice in your head that tells you to keep pouring time and money into something that's failing just because you've already invested so much. Learning to cut your losses is a superpower. For me, this meant finally killing a weekly report I used to spend hours on that almost no one read. Just like that, I got a huge chunk of my week back for stuff that actually moved the needle. Okay, so we've identified what's essential and we've started clearing out the non-essential. But here's the thing, the world will rush in to fill any empty space you create. And that's why this next part is so incredibly important. Create space and boundaries. This is all about protecting your most valuable asset, which is, of course, your time and your ability to focus. This quote from Picasso really gets to the heart of the first piece of this puzzle. Without great solitude, no serious work is possible. You know, in our crazy, hyper-connected world, we tend to think of solitude as wasted time, but essentialism completely reframes it. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity for clear thinking and doing any kind of deep work. So how in the world do we create this space? Well, you can literally schedule solitude on your calendar just like you would any other meeting, an hour with zero agenda, just to think. You can practice mindfulness to be more present. The one that was a total game changer for me was this idea of monk mode. That's where you intentionally unplug from everything, email, social media, all of it, for a set block of time to just do deep, focused work. And just as important, we have to make room for play. Unstructured time isn't lazy. It's often where our best, most creative ideas are born. Now, let's talk about the other half of this section, boundaries. And this quote, which is often credited to Warren Buffett, is just so powerful. The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. Let that sink in. It's not about being a jerk. It's about being so unbelievably clear in what you're trying to achieve that almost everything else becomes, by definition, a distraction. See, protecting that focus requires strong boundaries. This could mean creating buffer zones in your schedule, like adding 30 minutes between meetings, so if one runs long, it doesn't blow up your whole day. You can use social contracts where you set really clear expectations with your team or your family about when you're available and when you're not. This isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about creating clarity. And here's the key thing I learned. Clear boundaries don't push people away. They actually earn you respect because it signals to everyone that your time and the work you do with it is valuable. So, we've picked our focus, we've cleared away the junk, and we've built a fence to protect our time. What's next? Well, this next section is all about making progress on the important stuff as easy as possible. The goal is what the book calls effortless execution. This was another huge aha moment for me. Essentialism isn't about gritting your teeth and using more willpower. It's about building smart systems that make doing the right thing the easy default choice. This quote really captures the whole spirit of this section. We can either make our choices deliberately or allow other people's agendas to control our lives. Designing your systems, that's the ultimate way to make a deliberate choice. It's about taking back control of your environment and your routines so that they serve your agenda, not somebody else's. And here are some fantastic strategies to do just that. You can create essential routines, like laying out your gym clothes the night before, to put important habits on autopilot. You can use the idea of minimum viable progress, which is just asking, what is the tiniest possible step I can take right now to get the ball rolling? It's all about reducing friction. But the most important strategy for me was the last one. Focus on removing obstacles. Instead of always asking, how can I push harder? I started asking, what's making this so difficult, and how can I get that out of the way? It's a much smarter and way more effective way to work. And that brings us to our final section, which is really where everything comes together. Because the goal of all of this, all the choosing and the eliminating and the executing, it isn't just about ticking boxes faster. It's about achieving the ultimate outcome of essentialism, which is living a purposeful life. It's about making sure that the way you spend your days is a true reflection of your deepest values and allows you to contribute to things you find truly meaningful. And I honestly can't think of a more important quote to end on than this one. If you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. This is the core truth of the whole book. Every single day, there are countless forces competing for your time and your energy. Your boss, your clients, social media, the news, you name it. If you don't consciously and deliberately choose where your energy goes, the world will happily choose for you. And trust me, the world's agenda for you might not be the one you want for yourself. But when you do take control, these are the real-world benefits that follow. And I can tell you from my own journey, this isn't just theory. You really do experience this incredible sense of clarity about what actually matters. You feel so much more in control of your own life. There's way more joy in the journey because you're actually working on things you chose to work on. You start to build a legacy of contributions you're proud of. The stress and overwhelm, they just decrease dramatically. And because your energy isn't spread so thin, you can invest more of yourself in the people who matter most, which leads to much deeper relationships. So I want to leave you with this one final direct question, because this isn't about just listening, it's about doing. What is the one non-essential thing you will eliminate today? It doesn't have to be some huge, dramatic thing. It could be a useless app on your phone, a meeting you know you can decline, a notification you can finally turn off. The whole journey of less but better, it starts with that one single step. You know, applying these ideas has been an ongoing process for me, but it's brought so much clarity and purpose into my life. If this book overview resonated with you at all and you're curious about reading Essentialism for yourself, you can find a link to the book down in the description. I've also put a link to a really helpful chapter-by-chapter summary if you want to explore the ideas a bit more. Thanks so much for tuning in.